Welcome to the service clinic at Low Country Harley-Davidson. I'm Doc Harley. I want to talk about a Softail. Since the Softail came in 1984 and a half, I have to say half because I was there when they brought it out, and wow, it was something else because the Softail brought the hardtail look, but it hid the shock absorbers. And where are the shock absorbers? Underneath here. Two of them. All right, and what I want to talk about today is many of you are purchasing used Softails, and some of you are purchasing pre-M8 because the M8s have a single shock absorber underneath the seat. But before 2017, we had the two shocks here, and I want to talk about adjustment. A lot of you have bought a Softail and just rode it and just accepted the way it rides, but there is a way to adjust these, and I want to explain that. Now, Harley-Davidson in the manual says you can do this adjustment on the jiffy stand and crawl underneath the motorcycle and adjust it. I find it very difficult because the big nut inside here that you have to break loose is 1 1/16. It's very hard to get this inside here to break it loose. And then when you're adjusting it, you have to put a 9/16 on the shaft while you're adjusting it. It seems to be very, very difficult when it's on its jiffy stand and do that. Now, once I broke it loose, I made myself an 1 1/16 hand one. All right, nice, easy, can go underneath the motorcycle. All right, and I can do a 9/16. Now, the other thing you're going to need, well, you definitely helps you in doing it, is this part. A 94448-82B. This is the adjustable wrench for regular shock absorbers on a Sportster, Dyna, or on a Softail. Let's walk over to a shock absorber I have in a vise and explain. Here's a twin cam shock absorber out. Here's the nut, and this will be locked down on here. So you have to put a 9/16 here and break this loose here to undo this, to adjust it. All right, now, the spring is inside here. Now, if this was on a motorcycle, let's say on a Sportster, you would adjust it so it would, move the spring so you would take more weight, all right? It's the same effect, but it's upside down. It's kind of hard to understand and see, but let me try to show you this. When this is backed off, Harley-Davidson manual says that you want to turn this clockwise. Now, when I thought of that, when you're doing clockwise, that seems like you're making it harder and harder and harder, but you're not. It's actually making the whole shock short. You got to think about this is in underneath, and this is pushing against the frame, and this is pushing down here against the swing arm. All right, so if I'm making this all short, that means it's at its least amount of spring tension. So you want to start this all the way clockwise till it stops. Then you use the chart in your manual for how much weight you are, and you adjust. Anything under 185 pounds, 0. All right? But if you're 185 to 2 something, all right, then you go clockwise. But you want to mark. Get yourself a magic marker or put a piece of tape and a tape here because it's very crucial that you adjust both shocks the same amount. You don't want one at 1 and one at 3. It's going to make your motorcycle run really rough, all right? So you break it loose and you turn it counterclockwise. And here's what I want the camera person to show is if you look underneath, see the shiny spot? It's making the shock longer, which is putting more pressure on the spring because you are pushing against the frame and the swing arm. It's making it longer, putting more tension on the spring. That's the only way I can show and understand what this shock absorber is doing counterclockwise, because it just doesn't make sense when you think of it as a regular shock absorber on the back of a Sportster or a Dyna. So follow your manual. It's going to be tough, especially if it's a used motorcycle and it's never been adjusted. This is going to be amazing to get out. But once you break it loose, then back it off, turn it clockwise till you get it at 0, and then make your adjustment. Now, do you have to do full turns? No. You can do it. You can start with the chart that says 1 full turn at 185 to 200 something. All right, you can start there. But if you want to adjust it, maybe half a turn. If you want it to be on a little bit on the soft side. or half a turn more to be a little bit on the stiff side. Now, here's the math. When you look at the chart, you have to add your weight and your passenger's weight if you're going for a long ride. Yeah, this makes it a little difficult to always get underneath your motorcycle and adjusting. That's probably the reason why the new M8s have the shock absorber underneath the seat, and you can adjust it really fast and easy. Some of the M8s have an actual adjuster on the side, okay? But I wanted to show those of you that own a Softail, twin cam or earlier, or Evo, that have the shocks underneath, there is adjustment, and you can adjust it. And I highly suggest if someone before you put a lowering kit onto the shock absorber that you adjust it a little bit on the stiff side, because when it's lower, everything's closer together, and you hit a bump or a pothole and it feels like you just jarred your spine, you need to make this a little bit more tough, all right? Hopefully this helps you. If you have any questions, please email me. I'd love to answer them. I'm Doc Harley. We'll see you next week.